Welcome to the realm of intoxicating flavors and head-banging beer reviews.
What's up, everybody? It's the Ginger Yeti, and I'm checking in from home. I've got a super cool beer for you. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I just got back from the Brewtubers Meetup 2024 in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And this is one of the beers I was able to pick up in that. And what we did was everybody that showed up brought a bunch of beers. You threw them in this big fridge, and throughout the weekend, you could pull out whatever you want to do reviews on. And then at the end of the weekend, you got to take some beers and take them home. And we generally try to do, like, if you brought 5 beers up, you take 5 beers, whatever. And this is one of the beers I was able to pick up. And this is Midnight Mass Chicory Oatmeal Stout. It's from Brimstone Brewing Company out of Ridgeway, Ontario. And this was brought to us from Ray from the Alkanauts. Really appreciate that, Ray. Thank you very much. And he said that somebody named Nadine at the brewery gave him a bunch of beers to give to us because she wanted to see us do reviews on them or whatever. So that's super, super cool. Really appreciate that. I hope I enjoy this beer. This is something I have never seen in a beer before that I can think of. And it's crazy to see some sort of new adjunct that, at least in my mind, I don't remember ever seeing. So on the side of the can here, it says Chicory Oatmeal Stout, 6.6% alcohol, 473 mil, water, malted barley, oats, chicory, hops, yeast. And their artwork from Brimstone is super cool. I was told it's a kind of a brewery that was used a church, found an old church, repurposed it into a brewery. And all their can work is kind of almost, what's it called? Stained glass-esque kind of artwork. And it's just super cool, dark, evil, menacing looking beer label. Right up my alley once again, being a big metalhead. So I'm super happy I could get this beer. So, chicory. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with chicory, but chicory is the ground root of the Chicorum intybus plant, which I guess is a, was it sativum, salvium, something like that family. And if you are familiar with it, you're probably familiar with it being used in coffee. It's really big in New Orleans. They commonly use it in coffee as an additive, or they even make it just straight as almost a drink. And the flavors of chicory are supposed to be bitter, nutty, like roasted, kind of coffee-esque, caramelized sugar. And I have had like chicory coffee down in New Orleans when I was there before, and it's definitely something different. You know you're drinking something that's not exactly coffee. But you could, especially if you're not a connoisseur of coffee, you could probably pass it off as coffee to some people. But it does have some nice, robust, nutty flavors to it. I'm looking forward to see this in a beer. And I'm pretty sure like a oatmeal stout is the perfect beverage to really show off this chicory flavor. So I'm really excited to have this beer. Again, thank you, Nadine. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Ray, for bringing it. If you don't know who the Alkanauts are, I'll post a link to their channel down below. Make sure you go check them out. Really cool couple dudes. Ray and Paul, they're awesome. Got to meet them up at the Brewtubers Get Together. Just some super cool dudes. Go check their channel out. And let's get into the beer. So on Untapped, it gets a 3.73 with 1.6 thousand check-ins. And there's nothing on Beer Advocate. And, you know, as I'm pouring this beer, I should have mentioned, this label almost feels textured. It's kind of nice. And that's just pouring out black as black can be. Black as night. I mean, Midnight Mass, that is a midnight beer. It's a 40 on the SRM. Don't even have to look. That's an interesting nose. Yeah. There is something different in that nose. I'm assuming that's the chicory. You get a little bit of chocolate and almost a little bit, I want to say like a little bit like oatiness, like oatmeal kind of. But then there's this smell. It's a smell I'm not familiar with because I've only had like chicory coffee one time, and that was years ago in the before times when I was down in New Orleans. But I'm guessing that's what that smell is, because it is kind of like a caramelized, sugar, nutty, roastedness. It's reminiscent of coffee, but you know it's not coffee. I mean, it probably smells like some of those weird, I shouldn't say weird, but some of those like kind of espresso drinks from coffee shops or even Starbucks. But it's not quite coffee. That's a really neat smell. Whew. Yeah, that's you know there's something new and different in this beer that you're not used to. And again, like I said, this is probably a 40 plus. Had a slight little tan head on it. It's just dissipated. It's now just clinging around the sides here, but not much of a head to really speak of. Just kind of like that filmy head on the top. And, you know, after doing a video with Rod J, he was talking about how you should go in the nose first. So I'm trying to switch it up and go to the nose first because you might miss some of those aromatics that disappear quickly off the beer. So I'm still a little struggling to like switch up to doing the nose first and the color. So that's why this kind of sounds muddled a little bit. And, you know, with that being said, let me just get on into this because I'm excited to try a chicory beer, a beer with chicory in it. Chicory Oatmeal Stout. Thank you, Nadine, for providing these beers to us. Thank you, Ray, for bringing them to us. Cheers to the both of you. That is thick, but a little watery on the back end. In the initial mouth, it is thick, and then it just kind of dissipates into a watery finish. That kind of thickness into a watery finish is kind of nice because you don't feel like you're swallowing a big mouthful of like sludge or whatever. I shouldn't say sludge; it's a terrible term, but like that's nice how it comes in real big and then just kind of mellows out and dissipates into a wateriness on the swallow. I like that. It's got a little bit of that viscousness you expect from like oatmeal stouts and big stouts. Although it's 6.6%, it's not a big stout. But this definitely has an interesting flavor. I mean, it's something I would call odd because it's flavors that I'm not used to in stouts. And it's going to be a lot of that chicory. And it's not a bad thing at all. It's really interesting. It's nice. I mean, you get some slight bitterness that if you didn't know this was had chicory in it, you would probably say that's from the hops, but I think it's coming from the chicory. You do get some nice nuttiness. There is some like roasted caramel almost, caramelized sugar, like all that's in there. Earthy, there's some earthiness to it. I mean, it's just like nutty, earthy, a little bit of chocolatiness, some roasted malt roastiness in there. You can almost pick up a little bit of coffeeness, but I think that goes back to the chicory again. And this is a really wild beer. I mean, this is interesting. I really like this. I mean, this is neat seeing something at least a new adjunct to me, chicory. I mean, I had never in a million years thought about putting chicory in a beer. And that's really, really different. This is a nice beer. This is a good beer. It's a big horns up for me. I mean, if you're looking for, if you're a big stout guy, big stout person, you like stouts, like especially oatmeal stouts, but you're looking for something different. You're tired of the run-of-the-mill regular kind of stouts people put out. And the stouts that people put out, like the bourbon barrel aged, coconut this, whatever that, you know, the normal things. If you can find this, grab this. Because this is a totally different experience. This is a new kind of flavor to me in a stout, and it's really cool. I really welcome this. I love seeing breweries experiment with new ingredients, new adjuncts, and this is really nice. This is a good beer. Wow. Again, Ray, whatever you did to get Nadine to give us these beers, thank you so much. Nadine, thank you so much. Please go check out the Alkanauts. If you're ever up in the Niagara area or where this is, Ridgeway, I'm not sure where Ridgeway, Ontario is, go check out Brimstone. This is I think it's the second beer I've had from them, and both the beers have been just stellar. Really good beers. This is a nice beer. It was definitely an adventure trying a beer with chicory in it. Have you ever had a chicory beer? I know I've never even seen one before. I never even would have thought to put chicory in a beer. But it works. Works really well. And you know what I say? Embrace the adventure.